Pam,
David.
powered by Pam and David Lee. Strong by Lee. We are on episode 11. It is February
Crazy.
19th. Bro, can you believe that February is almost over?
I can. February is an extremely quick month. I actually really like February because it's the shortest month of the year. February is when you can really see the days are getting longer. For anyone interested, I think the sun sets around 5:37 today. Not like I'm keeping track.
No, that's just an educated guess, right?
And spring is in about a month.
Can you?
So
yeah. On my weather app, not my weather app. I'm just guessing. Apparently, sunsets at 5:30 in New York. It's just an educated guess.
okay.
I just happened to look outside at a specific time to say, "Hey,
Yeah.
look, it's a little dark." Anyways,
We're getting there.
we're getting there. February 11th today. Today we are going to talk about a couple of things. Pam, give us the rundown on what we have on our plate.
Yeah.
Get it, pun intended.
Yeah, exactly. So yes, today is going to be very nutrition based. We're going to be talking about the all or nothing mindset. We're going to be talking about going out to eat, and we are also going to be talking about getting back on track. Whether that's from a binge eating episode, falling off track for a week or so, or even a day, or when you go out to eat.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
I like this stuff too, the all or nothing. And when we were talking about what topics to talk about, when we were going back and forth about what topics to talk about today, when the topics you brought up, I think, wow, these are Pam. These are some of the things that Pam and I worked through together.
Yeah.
And as a result, and you said it yourself, since you have firsthand experience, you can speak to these things. These aren't just theoretical for you.
Yeah.
These are both scientific and personal.
And I think that these are things that a lot of people deal with. And the reason why we had decided to talk about these things was because this is what I was talking about with the client just earlier this week. So clearly these are things that stick out in people's minds that go beyond the fitness and nutrition. And so, yeah, I don't know if you want me to hop into one of them, or
let's talk about all or nothing, because the order that I have is all or nothing, going out to eat, and finally getting back on track.
All right. So the all or nothing mindset is when someone tends to focus on perfection instead of progress. That means that when it comes to nutrition or even fitness, that they have to be 100% all of the time. That means that they are eating healthy and they're being extremely strict. They're not giving themselves any leeway. That means that they're not allowing themselves to miss a gym session. Basically, the mindset is that they can't mess up. They can't go off track. And if they go off track, well, then they've messed up. They've screwed up. And oftentimes someone that has that all or nothing mindset, whether it's that you ate something that wasn't a part of your plan, or maybe you had to miss a gym session, if those things happen, it leads to someone possibly either binge eating, or it leads to their inability to be able to get back on track the next day or right after they have this certain episode. And ultimately, sometimes it might even lead to someone giving up completely. So an example that I was using was that, imagine someone has this all or nothing mindset and they want to be 100% all the time. And their friend asks them to go out for lunch, and it's on a Wednesday, and Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and even all through that Wednesday morning, you were 100% with your diet and with your exercise. And in your mind, you say to yourself, when I go out to lunch to eat with my friends, and this happens so many times, when I go out to eat lunch with my friend, I'm going to just order a salad. I'm going to order a salad with just vegetables and grilled chicken, and I'm going to get dressing on the side, and that's going to be it. And then I'm going to starve myself for dinner because I have to be 100%. And when you get to lunch with your friend has something different in mind. Your friend wants to get drinks. Your friend wants to order appetizers like mozzarella sticks or nachos or a certain dip. And so you say, screw it, I'm just going to do that. And you have a few drinks, you have some appetizers, and then no longer are you going to order that salad as your entree. You're going to get something else. Maybe you're going to get a pasta dish or whatever it may be. Maybe you even get dessert. And instead of just having that one meal and going home and saying, hey, I had an amazing time with my friend. We got to catch up. I had some great food. It was amazing. You say, screw it. I already messed up my day. I'm going to keep going with that. And then when you go home, maybe you even stop on the way and you go and you pick up takeout, or maybe you go to the grocery store and you get something, or maybe you go home and you raid the cabinets in the fridge and you eat ice cream and whatever it is that it's in there, because in your mind, you already screwed up. So why not keep going? And instead of waking up the next day and saying to yourself, okay, you know what? Yesterday, the last half of the day, I enjoyed myself. I had fun. I ate a little bit too much. It's fine. I'm just going to get right back on track today. Instead of having that mindset, you just keep going with what you were doing yesterday. Well, I already screwed up Wednesday, so I might as well screw up today too. And you follow that all through the weekend. And then Monday rolls around and you step on the scale. And according to the scale, you've gained 7 pounds, which no, you haven't gained 7 pounds of fat. A lot of that is water weight that will come off in a few days if you just give it some time. But according to you, you already gained 7 pounds. So what's the point? You're done. You give up. I feel like so many people have had that experience before, me being one of those people. And having that all or nothing mindset is a very debilitating approach to have when it comes to fitness and nutrition, because you're really not doing yourself any favors, I should say. A more sustainable approach is to have that 80-20 approach, that if you meet up with your friend on a Wednesday for lunch and you know that you've killed it that week, that you have done extremely well in the gym, you've done extremely well fit nutrition wise, that when you meet up with your friend, maybe preview the menu before you go and pick something that appeals to you, that is right in the middle. Maybe it's not extremely unhealthy, but maybe it's not too healthy either, but it's something that you would enjoy, right? It's something that's going to make you feel satisfied and it's going to make you feel good. And you go out to dinner and you have or lunch and you have a blast with your friend. And then you go home and you get back on track. And then maybe a few days later, you do it again. And guess what? You'll probably see the scale go down by doing it that way, because you're not overdoing it. You're just going out, you're enjoying yourself, you're living life. You have to look at it like that too. Erase the guilt, erase the shame that is associated with giving yourself a break. You know, you and I, so many times I would say, oh, my cheat meal. And you would always stop me in my tracks and say, why are you calling it a cheat meal? You know, you said to refer to it as more of a break meal, but I don't even like to call it that. I don't even like to call it a reward meal anymore. That's what I started to call it. It's just I'm enjoying my life. You know, because I'm not on a diet. No one should really be necessarily on a diet unless they absolutely have to be. And as you said, a diet is just what you're eating on a day-to-day basis. So there is no good and bad food, and there is no cheat meal or reward meal. It's in the moment, what's going to make me feel good. In the moment, what's going to be the most nutrition thing that's going to keep me full and it's going to keep me satisfied, that I'll be happy about when I look back on. You know, and if that means that it's you having some nachos, then that's you having some nachos. And if it's you having grilled chicken and some vegetables, then it's you having grilled chicken and vegetables. But an all or nothing mindset is not going to land you very far in the long run. Doing something as an 80-20 approach, where most of your days are good, but some of your days or some of your meals are a little bit more indulgent. We'll say indulgent. that some of your meals you indulge more on for some days, but most days you're eating more for nutrition, and sometimes you're eating more for fun or enjoyment. Same thing with working out. I would say that I'm probably at least 98% consistent with my workouts, but sometimes every once in a while, I have to skip a workout, and guess what? That has never affected the scale. So I feel like erasing that guilt, erasing the shame that comes around with missing a workout or having, indulging a little bit more than you had planned. Just let yourself live in that moment and get back on track right after.
You talked about a lot, and I think many of those points touch on what I feel a lot of people struggle on.
Yeah.
What I've always been interested in is where does the all or nothing mentality come from? Where do you think it came from for you?
I think that it came from a very early age. People, and it wasn't just my parents, it's people in general, that they associate different foods as being good and bad. And so growing up, you think about it. If you go and you want a snack and you grab a piece of fruit, or you're having some vegetables, people are going to praise you for that. People are going to praise you for making a healthy choice. However, if you have a snack and you're like, you know what? Wow, I really just want chips, or I really just want that ice cream. And you go and you have that, that's when the comments would come. Oh, you're being bad. That's what my mom would say. No offense, Mom. Oh, you're being bad. She still does it now. And I always have to just catch her and be like, there is no good and bad. And I'm not cheating because there's no diet, and there's no cheat meal because I'm not doing anything wrong, but, and it's not her fault necessarily, because that's what's been embedded in our minds our whole lives. And it's not one person to blame, but I do feel like it's society as a whole, because that's what society has brought us up to believe, is that there are good foods and there are bad foods. And if you're on a diet, then it must be something that's completely unenjoyable, and it must be something that you have to follow through 100% of the time, because if you don't, then you're going to fail. And if you get off track, then you might as well stop, because there's no fixing the damage that you've done. And I just feel like that has been what has been preached to us for so long. And I feel like now people in the fitness industry and with nutrition, they're studying science, and science is telling us a completely different story. And so now people are coming back with that mentality of, well, no, you don't have to break your back and kill yourself to look a certain way and to feel a certain way. There's a very happy middle ground that you can focus on and you can be successful with.
Yes. You about to say something
Speechless.
else?
Nope, you're speechless.
You're speechless. You just drowned me in your wisdom. I need to go get my life jacket.
Oh, there you go with the jokes.
See, but you laughed this time at least. You must like swimming jokes. That's what it is. You like swimming jokes.
Yeah, because I do like to swim. Mm-hmm.
There we go. Great form of exercise, low impact.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think you're hitting the nail on the head here when you're talking about how society, how our environment tends to affect our behaviors and the way we view certain situations.
Mm-hmm.
I also want to add, when we get to a certain age, a lot of our personality has already been set in stone.
Mm-hmm.
There's research showing by the time we're 7 years old, 90% of our personality has already been formed. When we're 7, we're not aware really of how we're acting. We don't look off into the future. We don't plan for our future. We don't decide, we can, but we're most likely joking about it. But if you hear a 7-year-old saying, I'm going to get married like mommy and daddy, or have kids, or have pets, and all these things, they're joking. They don't really know what that means, right? Once these kids get older, they become a teenager. Now they're starting to get more of a perception of what's going on around them. They fall victim to predatory marketing from companies that want people's money, or just from people who have good intentions, but because of how certain people were grown up, whether they grew up in a not so supportive household or a very critical household, they might fall victim unknowingly to advertising. I think when you said how we grew up, I think that's really important. And the reason I bring this up is because not just with you, but when I talk to people about trying to get to the bottom of why they make certain decisions, some sort of reconciliation, or at least coming to terms with why people make decisions, I think is beneficial. If somebody becomes more aware and mindful of at least their inclinations and their personalities and how those things affect their decision-making behaviors, at the very least, they have more information. A lot of times when people come to me, they have no idea why they do certain things.
Yeah.
They don't really understand the habit loop. They don't understand the cognitive science, behavioral science. We talked about motivational interviewing in our previous discussion, in which motivational interviewing's goal is to bring out ambivalence and address it. Ambivalence is essentially when somebody has a particular set of beliefs or thoughts, but behaves in a completely different way. If somebody wants to lose weight, but like you said, they're not acting in accordance with wanting to lose weight, or when people understand, hey, I know I shouldn't have an all or nothing mentality, but they still get guilty and go down a slippery slope for making a mistake, that's ambivalence. There's a disconnect. There's a misalignment between behaviors and beliefs. Motivational interviewing, the goal of that is to help address it, is to bring it up to the surface so people can see, hey, I am actually being ambivalent right now. And after people are made aware of their ambivalence, is it something they want to change? It's not easy. It's definitely not easy.
Yeah.
Because there is an idea of comfort, or a feeling of comfort within ambivalence. If we were so uncomfortable with who we were and what we represented, then there would be less ambivalence. But there's also a part of us that believes, you know what? Being heavy and being unhealthy isn't really all that bad. A lot of people are unhealthy and heavy. If I become a little bit older, I can just go on medications. There are all sorts of resources and avenues for me to manage. I can still go out and eat. I can have a social life, right? There is a feeling of comfort within ambivalence, and I think that's why ambivalence happens. Ambivalence happens because we become too comfortable. Like you said, we're in a society that preys upon our desire to be safe, to be secure, and I'm saying this with the utmost respect, just in terms of our natural human biology and psychology, to be lazy. Most human beings, we are naturally lazy. The reason people like you and a few of my clients who are always on the go, is because we've fought against our natural inclinations for so long, and gotten to the point where, hey, me being lazy is not an option, because now my habit is not be lazy. But you and I are constantly interacting with people who are still in the early stages of addressing their ambivalence and procrastination. So I think the all or nothing mentality in that point, I don't know if there is any real way to address it. I think you made some really good strategies. Hey, look, learn the 82 approach, where you're not trying to go for perfection. I think that is probably the most important thing. Give yourself a break, or give yourself a little bit of breathing room. Don't be so hard on yourself, right? And people need those words of encouragement all the time,
Yeah.
constantly. And then eventually, I think the switch flips.
Yeah.
But it would seem like at the beginning, the going is going really slow. It's like, oh my God, I
Yeah.
made another mistake and I'm never going to lose weight. I'm never going to look the way that I want to. But then I think it's like chipping away at a giant. You don't, if somebody's had certain habits for 20, 30 years, it's a big ship they're trying to turn
It's
around.
hard.
It's really difficult. My stepfather, he's almost 70 years old. He has admitted to me, even though he has diabetes, hypertension, high cholesterol, prostate issues, he has a family history of dementia and Alzheimer's. He's getting to that age where he should maybe make some modifications to his lifestyle, get a little bit more active, eat a little bit better. He's like, you know what? Real no point. I'm almost 70 years old and I've got certain habits and I don't really want to change them because it's a really, really uphill battle. It's a really steep uphill battle.
Yeah.
I think just the all or nothing approach it can be dangerous for a lot of people because, like you said, people get guilty. They feel terrible about themselves. You and I know several people when they make a mistake, or maybe they miss a day at the gym, they shame themselves, make themselves feel like failures. And going back to my original question of where could this all or nothing approach have come from, I think it, like you said, it is society at large. People who are close to us, people who are far from us, constantly either criticizing us or praising us. Some people, depending on the makeup of our personality, will take criticisms really hard. And because they'll take criticisms really hard, they'll try to avoid almost anything that warrants criticism or draws
Mhm.
criticism. And they will try to do things that would only bring praise. There is a saying I like. I don't know where I got it from. There's a saying. It says, avoid letting criticism go to the heart and praise go to the head. Because that's really I think the essence of the all or nothing is when somebody takes criticism way too hard and
Yeah.
they take it to the extreme, criticism or praise.
Yeah, I
Because
agree with that.
the all or nothing you can have too much of a good thing. The all or nothing being, I have to be healthy. If I'm not healthy, then I'm gonna fail. Or, oh, well, I already messed up. I don't really care about my health today, and I'm gonna go down that slippery slope.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, my way of punishing myself when I had that all or nothing mindset was going on another juice cleanse. So I was that person that
Yeah.
Friday came around and it would just be like a free for all of binge Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And then it was like, oh, it doesn't really matter. I screwed up entirely, step on the scale, freak out. And then I will go on a juice cleanse. And again, it was back to that like 100% strict. I wouldn't eat for however many days that cleanse was. And then afterwards, I would be eating way less than 1,000 calories a day, trying to keep up with the juice cleanse that I was doing and the effects that came with that. And then I would go out again and the same thing would happen. It was a terrible, terrible cycle. And then the feelings of shame and guilt and it's not healthy. It's not sustainable. It's not a good kind of lifestyle to lead for yourself.
When was the tipping point for you? When did you have it? Was it an epiphany, or did it come on gradually? When did you tell yourself, I can't live like this anymore?
When I started going to you. Yeah, I mean, I don't think that I really knew. Well, I didn't really have any expectations when I started to go to you because it's not like you were the first person that I had ever gone to for
Hold
nutrition.
on. By the way, I was totally not expecting that answer. I wasn't asking that question for you to give
Yeah.
me a plug. I was not. I promise.
Well, because my mindset was like that before I started to go to you, and you knew when I had come to you that I was a big juicer and cleanser and all that stuff. And I had worked with other trainers before, nutrition wise and fitness wise. So I didn't necessarily have any expectations when I came to you, but I just felt like your slower approach with me is kind of like, I feel like I almost like weaned myself off of it. Like it wasn't an immediate, oh, I'm never doing this again. But when I started going to you, I never did another juice cleanse again.
Well, listen though, Pam, and you could probably relate to this. I didn't really do much because the things I was telling you were probably things you already knew.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what precisely or exactly I did with you, but I can tell you that when you came to me, like you said, you were, I think, in my opinion, even though you were still kind of, maybe some parts of you were still wrapped up in the diet culture, you, I think, had made a commitment to do
Mm-hmm.
something different.
Yeah.
I feel, right, because maybe you saw, because you came to me through a recommendation from a colleague.
Yeah.
Maybe you thought to yourself, seeing me was going to be turning a new leaf over.
Mm-hmm.
And you made that commitment to yourself. But as a coach, my goal is to give you the tools, but you're the one who does all the heavy lifting. And that's exactly
Mm-hmm.
what you did. You did all the heavy lifting yourself. And that's why I was curious, because you continually asked me questions. You were curious. You had a passion for it. You worked hard. I was really impressed with your level of dedication. That's why I was curious as to, when did it happen? Where was it? Was it an epiphany? Did you wake up one morning and say, you know what? This is the day. This is the day when I completely shed off that false skin, or did it come gradually? That's why I was
Well,
curious.
you know what? Actually, now that you're saying that, another really big factor was before I had come to you at the end of that summer is when I finally moved out of my parents' house and I moved in with two roommates. And I remember thinking to myself about my eating habits, that I wasn't going to be able to cover up my eating habits as well living with roommates. So I better fix this problem.
Interesting.
And I think that that's what it was, is that I knew that I no longer was going to be living with my parents. When you live with your parents, you live in a house, you have all this space. My parents have two kitchens. You can hide a lot of things. But when you live with two roommates in an apartment, you can't. So I feel like I knew that I was going to have to kind of get it under control. And being happy about it too. I was like, oh, I'm not going to be able to get away with, if I want to binge or like do these cleanses, they're going to be asking me like, why am I doing this? So I think that's one of the major things was. And then when I was recommended to go to you, that's when I was like, this is the help that I need.
It's interesting. We've mentioned it before. I remember you talking to me about your roommates.
Mm-hmm.
You used to live right next door to the gym where we worked together
Yeah.
at. That goes back to what you and I talk about frequently in terms of how to get somebody how to create a shortcut
Mm-hmm.
with, for all intents and purposes, is a change in environment. I think this is a double-edged sword, because in your case, the change in environment helped facilitate or expedite the commitment process,
Yeah.
the change process. Some other people, it might not help. It might actually be more stressful. For some people, moving is a very stressful ordeal. And that's when crap hits the fan. They get stressed out, whether they're moving jobs or they're moving houses. It's a very stressful situation. In your case, though, it actually led to an identity shift, a beneficial identity shift. How do we and I'm not asking this question because I feel that you or I would know this answer. I just want for people listening to this, ask yourself, if environment is extremely important in helping you change your behaviors, how can we either change your current environment that you're in right now, or how can we get you to change your environment a little bit more but not to the point where it stresses you out. Or if you are going through a major environmental shift, what opportunities can you look for that you can latch onto that would help you make the behavioral changes that you need? So there are three progressive ways to look at environment change. I think that would really help.
Yeah.
I don't know if you have any answers. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, we briefly talked about changing the environment. I think it was last week or the week before, and I believe that I had said that one of the quickest ways to change your environment is being in control about what's in your household. And again, for me, it was changing households. It was, moving in with friends.
Yeah.
And it's different for everyone. I think
maybe people can pretend like they're moving in with friends.
Yeah. I also think having someone to hold you accountable is something that really helps too. It's having an accountability partner. Whether that's someone that you live with, whether it's someone that you're going to the gym with, or you're doing this program with, or a coach. I mean, that's really what it boils down to. I feel like we always constantly turn back to this. That's why there's beauty in having a coach for nutrition and fitness, is because that's your accountability right there. And you're definitely changing your environment in a way. Maybe you're not changing the gym you go to. Maybe you're not changing the house that you live in, but you at least have a place, a person to go to in an environment that is conducive to your positive changes that you're trying to make.
I think you make a really good point, the accountability. And I know we're not obviously we're talking about accountability. We are coaches. And if we can help people, that would be great. But we're talking about accountability in the absolute sense that almost across the board, even shown in research, accountability, supervision, guidance will lead to better adherence and results than if somebody was to do things on their own, right? Because, we're social creatures. And I think that is why Weight Watchers is so successful.
Yeah.
The actual Weight Watchers program, it's novel, it's unique. And when it first came out, nobody even thought about rating food with points.
Yeah, points.
And as nutritionists, if we look at it, we think, rating food, then what about nutrition? It's an evolving system. It's an evolving system. Obviously, it's much better if you get one-on-one guidance with somebody who is a nutritionist and they know, hey, this is probably the most nutritious food you can get for 250 calories. It's still an evolving system. But the most important part about the Weight Watchers program is the support. It's the accountability. I think that is why they're so successful.
Yeah.
That's a major part of somebody's environment. We talk about how spouses, partners, friends can sabotage other people, whether they want to or not. Prime example, when you mentioned going out to lunch or dinner with your friends, the choices they make may unconsciously shape your behaviors.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
100%.
It's not like they're trying to, some of them might not be trying to sabotage you. Like, oh, you're having a salad. Oh, what are you trying to lose weight? Many people probably won't be like that. Right. But many people probably won't be trying to get as lean and shredded and as strong as you. They probably have different priorities.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyways, I think that is a great segue. Talking about accountability and the support system into getting back on track. I'll lead this off. One of the best ways to get back on track is to employ the help of somebody, whether it's with a coach, whether it's with a training partner. Obviously, you have to be careful with a training partner because you have to make sure that the training partner, their goals and their values are aligned with yours, because you don't want to be waking up in the morning waiting for your training partner and they don't show up, or they stand you up, they don't work as hard, they're not as committed as you, and they just drag you down, right?
Yeah.
Getting back on track is not easy, and you know this too. It's not easy.
Not easy.
I've worked with many people who have struggled to get back on track, not because they didn't know what to do, but because before they fell off track, they were already in a good place.
Mm-hmm.
It's much harder to get back on track if you fell from a high place. If you're at the
Yeah.
bottom, the only direction, the only way you can go is up. You're looking up. But if you already made it out of the well, or you're at the peak and you fall because of circumstances inside or outside of your control, it's much more difficult to climb back up. Not because you don't have the ability to, but because mentally you think to yourself, you're looking up and you're like, I used to be up there. When will I get back up there? When will I get back to where I used to be? And a lot of times, most people will not get back to where they used to be. Some people might be better off over time eventually.
Yeah.
But most people, it is a struggle. All
I
right. What about you?
completely, yeah, no, I agree with that. For me, that getting back on track, you're talking about coming from a high place. For me, that was when I did isogenics. And when I did isogenics, after I was done, I was at my lowest weight that I had been since I was 15. And by the way, I'm only a few pounds from there at this point. But
Oh my
so
God, you
so
look so
prior to
good.
so prior to where I am right now, obviously I did isogenics. Doing it was not such a healthy thing to do. I think it's a program. It's 24 days, I want to say. It's a program that if you know how to enter into a maintenance phase, that it could be a tool that could be helpful to assist you in losing weight and feeling good about yourself. But for someone like me, especially for as young as I was, and I didn't have the knowledge of nutrition that I really needed. Again, I was in that like all or nothing mindset back then, because isogenics is a very all or nothing thing that you have to be 100% for those 24 days. So I was in that all or nothing mindset, and I didn't know how to get out of it once I was done. And again, I abused the system by doing the cleanses that they had over and over and over again, just to get a lower number on the scale. And you saw the result of that like years later, because I entered into this huge yo-yo thing of trying to get back on track. And I kept trying and trying and trying and trying and trying. That was when I was 25, and I came to you when I was 28. So we're talking about 3 years of me trying to get back on track. And I finally was able to do it, but I mean, it took me a long time. But the difference is that a lot of people do with that all or nothing mindset. They're trying to get back on track. They don't see results after a few weeks, a month. They give up entirely. Me, I had to wait 3 years before I started to see results again. And a lot of people don't have that patience to do that. But I mean, as you said, like the passion that I have about fitness and nutrition is it's different than what your average person, how they feel about fitness and nutrition. But I 100% agree with the getting back on track, is that you're coming from a high place, and probably the best that you've ever felt, or maybe one of the most, positive times in your life. And something happened that got you off track, whether it's a negative event, an external factor in your life. Something happened that made you fall off track. And now, whatever it is, no matter how hard you try, you can't seem to get back on track. And I feel like what we're talking about right now is not, we're not talking about one binge eating episode or a week of getting on track. We're talking about over a period of time of getting back on track. At least I think
Absolutely.
that's what you were alluding to.
No, you're right. I was definitely alluding to that. And just to add on to what I was talking about before, if You say if somebody doesn't have perception of what it feels like to be riding high on fitness and health, every time they go to the gym and they're seeing some progress, they're ecstatic. Oh man, I got a little bit
Mhm.
stronger today. Oh man, this is amazing. This is fun. I love this. I've seen results. But then, like you said, they get to a certain point and then they fall. They have to clamor their way back. They're, you know what? I did this last year. I did this last year. It's not as gratifying, right? I think that novelty is gone.
Yeah.
I don't know. And this is something I constantly struggle with. And the reason I struggle with is because I know as a coach, when I'm working with somebody to help them get back on track, they have me.
Hmm.
But somebody who's trying to get back on track on their own, that's a really, really difficult thing to do. I would think you have a bunch of strategies listed, I'm sure. I'm sure a lot of these strategies, if somebody sticks to them enough, it will work. It will
Yeah.
work. They will work. Whatever helped you get into shape in the first place will work the
Hmm.
second, third, 10th time around. The key is, though, is when you get close to where your peak was, the strategies will have to probably change. And in order to break through that peak, in order to keep progress going, the strategy will not only have to change, but it will have to be different. Different usually means uncomfortable, because when you get close to that peak, you don't want to risk falling backwards again.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. Two things. I think something that everyone needs to keep in mind, no matter how far off track they got, is that the only way that you can mess it up is if you just stop.
Mhm.
The only way that you can mess it up for yourself is if you just stop. If you don't stop and you keep going, no matter how slow it is, you're going to be fine. You're going to get there again. You're actually going to be probably even better than you were before. You don't know how much time it's going to take, but that's what it is that no matter how many steps you take backwards, as long as you don't stop, you will get back on track. Like I said, it took me 3 years to get back on track, and even after that, I explained, I think in the previous episode, that even after that I took steps back because of external factors that were going on in my life, but I didn't freak out. It was just like, this is what it is, and I'm going to get back on track. That's first things first. And then what you're saying, that in order to see, in order to have something that you've never had, you have to do something that you've never done. And that kind of goes off of what you were saying, that in order to get a result that you're looking for, you're going to have to do something different. And you're going to have to make yourself uncomfortable. That's the way that we change. That's the way that we grow. So if you're like, oh, I got to get back on track, so I'm going to go back to the same thing that I was doing before. Well, clearly that didn't work because you're here right now. So what can you do that might work, that might make you uncomfortable? That's probably going to make you change. And that's what we need to look at when you're talking about getting back on track. You're right, putting yourself in a position that you're uncomfortable and doing something that you're not used to doing, because that's where the change comes in.
I just want to commend you. You mentioned earlier you had some external factors. There were some pretty significant external factors: moving, relationship, job. And they came in pretty quick succession. It's not like
Mhm.
something happened, you recovered, you were able to dust off, and then it came again. No, it came one after another.
2 years of my life, just like boom, boom,
Yes.
boom.
I remember how on a lot of days, even though you came in the train, you were dragging mentally.
Oh,
You were
exhausted.
you were
Yeah.
dragging mentally, and it's tough. It's tough. And but now when I look at your pictures, it's like, oh my God, you look fantastic. You look amazing. And I think those experiences help develop you into a much stronger
Mhm.
person. I also want to mention my other client. She's 60. She turned 60 in October. 3 years ago, she's had some, we've been working together for about 4 years. and she's got 6 kids. You probably know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
She's an amazing woman. She is very strong. She has a very strong will. She had some issues. She had some imbalances, asymmetries coming to see me before she saw me. And then we were working together for about a year. And then after a year, she started to take up horse riding at 55 years old. She started to start riding horses. A year after we started working together, she fell off the horse and
I
tore her
remember.
rotator cuff, right?
Mhm.
Tore it. She had to get surgery. It was really painful. It was like a 6-month recovery process at least. We got started right away. She didn't, after she got her surgery, we were back doing things 4 weeks later. A year later, we're making really good progress. A year after she had shoulder surgery, she did her first ever chin up at 57 years old, 57
Wow.
or 58 years old. First time ever. We were so happy. 4 days later, she falls off a freaking horse again and breaks her arm in half. The same arm, right? The same arm that she had a shoulder surgery on. So that was 4 days after she was able to achieve her first chin up. And this is a woman who can't take no for an answer. She has that all or nothing approach. Like it has to be perfect. It has to be clean. Like she has to work hard. If I say, you know what? I don't know if you're feeling it today. You're dragging a little bit. You said that you were stressed out. You want to go take it a little bit easier? She's like, no, I'm gonna push through it. I can do this. Right. So, but after she broke her arm, she was in her cast. We were working out 4 weeks after. We're still doing it. She had two major setbacks in consecutive years. And now, because like you said, we had to switch gears. We had to take some detours. She's getting to the point. She did 2 chin-ups the other day.
Wow.
She is stronger than she was before the second break. She's fantastic. She looks amazing. She's more ripped up. She has more muscle. Her arm is a little bit deformed because she broke her arm in half when she was almost 60 years old. The healing process is a little bit different. But it just ties everything about what we've been talking about together. Getting back on track. She was at her prime, right? She was at her prime when those things happened. And it was really difficult for her mentally and emotionally. And there have been times when she didn't want to quit. She didn't want to give up. But she's just like, she wanted to throw in the towel, at least for that day. Be like, you know what? I want to go home. And this is so frustrating. But she just kept at it.
Yeah.
She just kept at it. I think it helps when you have a coach because, you're answering for somebody. And that's why I think that's why I mentioned it's really difficult when you're doing things on your own. So I think getting back on track is really difficult, but having the right support system is really important. And
yeah.
Were there other things you wanted to talk about when it came to getting back on track?
Well, we talked about it long term, but I also would like to talk about it short term because I feel like people who do get off track for a night or a week, or they go on vacation and they get off track, that is kind of like the make or break point of how they can get back on track. So some tips for getting back on track. Let's say that you went out for dinner and you had a lot of drinks and you enjoyed yourself and all that. And I know for myself, something that used to happen, it was like, once you start going, you have a really hard time stopping. So you wake up the next day and you have that decision to make. Are you going to keep going or are you going to get back on track? Some things that can help you get back on track as well prior to that event that set you back, we'll say, prior to that event that set you back. So whether it's prior to you going out to dinner with friends, prior to you going on vacation for a week, prior to the weekend coming around, make sure that you really kill it, that your meals are in check, you're exercising, you're doing really well, you feel good about yourself, right? Remember that when you go into this vacation or when you go into meeting up with friends and going out to dinner or whatever it may be, live in the moment, enjoy yourself and have fun and not worry so much about, oh, I'm doing good or I'm doing bad. Just enjoy yourself, but also pay attention to the cues that are going on in your body. That if you're enjoying and you're indulging and you're having fun and you're eating, pay attention to your fullness cues. Are you eating just because you feel like eating, or are you eating and you're going to stop because you're satisfied and full? And when you wake up the next morning, drink some water, go for a walk or exercise as you normally would, and again have a killer breakfast, a really good healthy breakfast, nutritious breakfast, um, and you'll feel better already. That used to be like my biggest thing, is that especially when the weekend would come around, is Monday morning, oh, I would feel terrible, and the only thing that I wanted to do was I wanted to eat more junk. And it's that make or break where now I'm so much better prepared that when after I have my fun, that I drink a lot of water, and I just get back at it the next day. Even if I've gotten a lot better at it, but there are times where I still am like, oh, I wish today I could just like chalk up to an L and do whatever I want. But then I go for a walk. I, like have my morning coffee, and I plan out, okay, what am I going to eat? What's going to make me feel good? What's going to make me full? What's really nutritious that I could eat that's going to be good for me, that I'll be satisfied with having. And I kind of approach it that way. Same thing with vacation. You're going on vacation. Have a fun time. Relax. Do what you want to do. Erase the shame and the guilt. You're having fun. But again, pay attention to the cues that are going on in your body. If you can exercise, if you can go on walks, that's fantastic. Stay hydrated. Water goes a long way. I know that there's probably fruits and vegetables available, so try and sneak those in. Do well when you can and enjoy yourself when you do. And when you come back, even if you see a spike in the scale, don't freak out. It's mostly water that will go away in a few days, and return back to your normal as scheduled programming. And I understand that is easier said than done, because I have been there, but coming from someone that has been there, what has helped me is just having that mindset of, I enjoyed myself. It's not going to be the last time that I enjoy myself. And you know what? I'll probably enjoy myself in about 5, 6, 7 days from now again. And in between that time, I'm going to do my body a solid, and I'm going to do something that feels good for it. So I'm going to drink my water, I'm going to exercise, I'm going to move, and I automatically feel so much better.
The short-term stuff you're talking about, I think you're spot on. I think when you do go off track on short term, a lot of people might be tempted to swing to the other extreme.
Mm-hmm.
You go out to eat, maybe you have a lot to drink, a lot to eat, and then the next couple of days, you decide that you're going to go on a drastic fast, a juice cleanse, just to clean everything out. That's like, according to you, and which I think is correct, that's not the correct approach. The correct approach, the appropriate approach, is to try to get right back on track as to what you were doing beforehand, if you had some sort of structure. Mm-hmm. If you had structure before you went off track, get back on that structure. Yeah. Of course, if you don't have the structure beforehand, then it will be difficult. But the idea is you want to bookend the off-trackingness with your regular scheduled programming.
Yeah.
And also from a mentality standpoint, whenever this goes to you saying this is a lot easier said than done, but whenever I helped navigate my clients emotionally through not being guilty about enjoying the holidays that comes around once, twice a year, they feel much better about themselves after the holidays are over, because they're not guilty. They're not doing that. They're not trying to swing themselves to the other side of the playground. And most importantly, when somebody doesn't feel guilty about what they're doing, and like you said, you realize you're doing a body a solid, you get better about the planning over time.
Yeah.
Maybe this year, if somebody wants to get their self in gear, they're going to like, you know what, I'm going to try this. It doesn't go as planned. It doesn't go as well as they expected. But they realize that they've prepared for it. They've made that commitment. Like, you know what, this is my first year. I've never done this before, or maybe this year I really want things to be different this year. They don't feel so terrible. They don't feel as terrible coming out of the holidays as they normally would. And then the next year, they're much better. They're like, you know what? This is what happened last year, or this is what happened last week or 2 weeks ago. Let me try to switch things up a little bit, and let me see if there's something else I can do. You get better over time, right? Because before you become the master, you must first be the fool. We're all different. We all learn differently, different paces at different rates. We have different learning styles. Just, I think it's really important to embrace how you learn certain things.
I agree. You're right.
Whatever approach I used with you, I never used the same approach with other people.
Because I was one of a kind.
Well, all our clients are one of a kind. All of our clients are one of a kind. I will say though that, I learned a lot, a ton from working with you, simply because I don't get the opportunity to work with clients who are very in tune with themselves. Not a lot of people come to me with experience on various diets.
Yeah.
Juice cleanse. I mean, I've met people who've done a juice cleanse once or twice, but for you, it was more of a regular thing. And I'm not saying that to knock you down, but because you did that,
but it was.
It was a more regular thing, but as a result, it helped you become more in tune with your body.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of set the foundation for the identity change that you inevitably had.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think we got it all.
Word. I think we did too. And within this conversation, we actually talked about eating out. So I think we pretty much hit everything.
Yeah, we did. Yeah. We got it.
Word up, homie. I thought that was pretty good. I think we made some good time. We're less than an hour. Hopefully people are going to sit and listen to I got a couple of people who listen to our whole thing. Not every single episode, but they would actually sit down and listen to the whole podcast.
Yeah. Yeah. I know people do. I think it obviously, if someone's not interested in fitness and nutrition, then they're not going to bother. But if someone's interested in learning, then yeah, it's something that they would benefit from listening to. So some people do it, some people don't.
And then eventually, once you and I get comfortable, we're going to go live and have actual people tune in and ask questions if they need to. I
like that too.
But I gotta go get myself done up. I gotta get my hair did and my nails done. I'm just playing.
I can't. All right, everyone.
Anyways, everyone, thank you for tuning in. If you've got any questions, you know who to call. Ghostbusters. No, I'm just kidding. You got our email down at the bottom. You got Pam at pt61889@gmail.com. Pam, we need to get you a professional email. We need to get you like Pam at poweredbypam.com.
Powered by Pam. Yeah.
Powered by Pam. Or something you're more comfortable with, something you're going to settle on. And then David at strongbyelite.com. We work together here. We are a team because we know that teamwork makes the dream work.
Of course.
All right,
everyone.
All right. To your future better selves, this is David of Strong by Lee, and we got boom.
Powered by Pam.
Powered by Pam. Until next time. Peace.
Bye.